Oofta. Crack my window open. Get some airbrush time in today. Holy fuck, it's cold outside. Make sure autoplay is off. Okay. We got things to do today. Lots and lots of things. Ten infractors. These are just flat infractors because I do have 3 squads of 5. So if I just do these 10 as just straight up infractors, we get the benefit of being able to field 2 squads of 10 if need be. But because of this, we have a ton of stuff we got to do going forward. All of this needs to be white primered. I actually had to bust out another table next to me so I can move them over as we go. We're gonna have a lot to do here. Made sure my brush was clean and good to go. Here we go. We'll start with the custom heads. This will be good to just get out of the way. And what's cool is everything needs to be white, we can just kind of like do it on top of itself. That way all the primer gets kind of at least used a little bit on pretty much everything that's involved. Probably gonna have to hit it with some flow improver. Oh, what's up, Deherminator? Nice, Nemesis Claw. I actually fought them in this past tournament. I think it's the second time I've fought them. They're pretty cool. The person I fought kind of got like a bad hand a little bit. In terms of like, he made a play that statistically probably should have worked. but then it didn't, and it caused so much pain for, like, the rest of the round. I will say, though, portable barricade with Hearthkyn, super clutch. Giving Hearthkyn Salvagers 2+ saves. It was just, like, so good. What's up, Taco Man? They are hard to use. Like, I'm not gonna lie, they are hard to use. I had a... Okay, so full story. Full reveal. I went to this tournament assuming I was gonna lose. I was only going because the person running it asked. Because they needed an extra spot filled to make it even. I had zero plans on going because like I've been telling people, I just got back from playing 40K at my friend's house for like a whole week. Which were some of like the most ridiculous 10-hour long total matches. Like 2 matches usually a day or 2 games usually a day, equating to about 10 hours, right? So I didn't want to do any 40K for like a month. Was kind of my thing. I didn't want to do any thinking for a month. So he was like, "Oh, well, we need an 8th." And I was like, "All right, fine. I'll just take Hearthkyn." My assumption was I was going to do poorly in the first game. Maybe get some points, but overall like lose. That was the hope. And then I could just shut my brain off, right? Because when you're going into a tournament 0-1, you don't have to care that much. There's actually a benefit to the thinking side of things to be 0-1 in a tournament, like right off the rip. You can go from, oh man, I really want to win, to, oh, I just want to have fun today. I want to talk to people. I want to have like one really cool play that we talk about for the rest of the week. Oh, that time you did the beam shot and hit like 3 of my guys. That's awesome. You know, simple stuff. So in the first match, when the person I was playing against in turn 2 gave me 3 of his units in a single blast attack from a 3rd story building, and it literally, in that one moment, turned the entire tide of the fight in my favor for the rest of the game. Like, immediate loss of tempo. That was when I was like, oh, crap, I have to think today. Because I was basically winning that fight from that point forward. And if I won that match and then didn't win every single match after the fact, or at least put the effort in to win every single match after that fact, it would be sort of like a sort of like downturn for the person I played. It would be like, oh, you lost to someone who didn't do that well. So I would rather it be like, oh, you lost to someone who had a good win-loss rating. So I just put the effort in. I figured maybe game 3 I would do poorly. Game 2, maybe my score would be a little too low. Nope. Just kept going. I will say the one thing that I did that I probably shouldn't have done. One thing looking back, I kept using the Vox. Like, I kept applying the Vox radio because I assumed the scanner guy I was using was going to want to use it for the 6-inch range for Seek Light, basically. Seek Light and Anti-Obscure was the idea. And it never worked out that way. He was never near the Vox when I was using it. Honestly, the best thing you could probably do for the team is at least take 2 smokes. Because if you take 2 smokes on top of your Grenadier, then you've got a guy who has infinite smokes if he needs them, and then 2 other people on the field who could chuck smokes, which smoke is massive for this team. You don't want Pierce to deal with anything. The ability to negate crits is great for 3+ saves. There were a couple times when I was playing that the smoke I threw actually like changed the course of the game. The fact that my opponent was like, I got Pierce 2 over here, and I was like, well, now it's Pierce 1 and you can't crit. So those dev wounds are great, but you can't crit. So, like, man, the survivability was just so good. It even created traps, right? Like, because I could turn on anti-obscuring. So if you decided to use my smoke, if my smoke was left over, I could activate anti-obscure and then just attack you. Is there anything? Yeah, there's still stuff in here. It's not a lot, though. So yeah, you could take extra smokes. I think that's probably the better choice than the radio. Because the radio just doesn't do enough, I don't think. Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's actually a medal. They had at this one. I can go grab it because I got to figure out where the hell my dump cup went for my paint. Ta-da! Look at this thing. No, yeah, YouTube emojis suck. I didn't expect it because the guy that was running the tournament was like, I ordered a trophy and it never came in. So I assumed when he said that, I was like, oh, no trophy, that's fine. Then out of nowhere, he like walked over in the last round and was like, here's your medal. It's like, my medal? The hell is you talking about, my medal? So now I can put the medal on, pick up the giant You Won a Best Painting trophy hammer, and go to future tournaments looking like a complete asshole. He said the trophy was supplied by Games Workshop, so I'm assuming there's like a place you can go to sign up as like a tournament organizer, right? Alright, we gotta figure out why something inside of the neck of this keeps drying while I'm using it. The painting plan for today is to get us all the way up to the point where everything is purple. There is a sequence of events involving pink to cobalt to purple that I want to get everyone to today so that during the week we can work on the individual basis things, like doing the power weapons, doing the head colors in specific ways. Need to just fully clean this. I don't know if like a chunk of dry paint got into the neck of it and caused it to clog. Something happened. I personally do like to batch paint. Specifically when I'm painting armies. If someone was like, yo, paint me a monster, like, I'll take some time. I'm not gonna, like, get 10 monsters together and just be like, here we go. I'm gonna look into some techniques that maybe I want to apply to it. I'm gonna try to figure out how to get them done. I'm gonna really, like, hyper focus in on all the possibilities, right? Like, I don't know if you guys seen the short floating around on YouTube, but somebody did a how to paint demon skin short that I kept getting served, and I was trying to figure out why. And then I watched it, and it's actually really cool. The guy basically uses super glue as a masking liquid. So you kind of paint like really light flesh, and then you hit it with like a bruising color. Then you cover the entire surface of it in super glue. And then you cover that with like a more veiny color, like a purple or a blue or a kind of like burgundy color. Then you take a Q-tip with isopropylene alcohol on it to hit parts of that glue to melt it away, so that it does like a sort of pull away surface to it and creates like little like circles and stuff that go back down to the light flesh. And you can kind of keep doing that. Like you just do another layer of super glue, different colors, and you can keep doing it. And it has a really good looking effect because it's like a glossy, gross skin that's kind of like a subdermal with its feeling of like veins and stuff. So that was pretty cool to come across. And I kind of want to, like, do that with something. But down the road here... What brand of super glue? He just had, like, a random super glue. Like, it almost looked like Loctite or something. It looked like a dollar store almost super glue, I guess, would be the best way to put it. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. I just pushed so much paint out of this thing. That's what it needed. But yeah, it's like that's a basic paint masking technique. Like, normally you don't use super glue because you're using, like, actual masking fluid, but the super glue aspect keeps it pretty set. So even when you're done, like, you don't have to worry about the masking paint coming off too much, which is nice. Yeah, that was a huge chunk of paint I just got out of here. Hopefully that helps. Let me do a quick pick run of the actual nozzle. Make sure it's all good. And we'll get back to it. But yeah, like, when I do big projects, I don't batch paint. But, I mean, these are people. There's not enough difference between each model and the way I want them to look to warrant doing, like, one-on-one paint jobs, right? The more batch you do with the more specific approaches that are the same across the board, the better the army looks in unison. That's if you're aiming for unison looks. Like, if you want to aim for every guy in my army is unique, some armor's more worn than others, blah, blah, blah. Like, you can go that route. That's fine. And if you're approaching the hobby by painting, like, individual models that way, that's how it's going to end up. Like, if a white doesn't get applied the way it does on one other person, if that's, like, a thing where you have, like, a white armor plate, one person's going to look like their white might have been painted on after because it was wearing out, versus like someone else who has it on really smooth. Maybe they're a newer soldier. So it just depends on how you want to vary it. These are my Emperor's Children. So the built-in idea is that they're aiming for perfection. And if they're all aiming for perfection, then they probably all look very similar in the pursuit of an idea of singular perfection. So it's kind of the gist, I guess. The idea. Here we go. Flow improver. What about you guys? Anyone get any projects on their docket? Okay. To be clear, I almost bought another Combat Patrol for Emperor's Children because I won $100 from this tournament. And the Combat Patrol is $170, and the store was doing 20% off for participants. So there was a shot that instead of doing this today, I'd be putting together more Emperor's Children models. We'd be doing the last 6 of the actual Flawless Blade models. I would do a full squad of 10, probably Infractors. Either that or I would do a squad of 5 just Infractors, and then I would do another squad of 5 Tormentors. Because having 3 small squads of Tormentors with Infiltrate could end up being a good thing, I think. I think that would actually be good for the Mercurial list. Then we would have all 3 squads of 6 Flawless Blades. So if I wanted to Psycho mode out, I can already tell it's coming out way smoother. My original plan with the Exultant here was to make a different variant, but then I remembered I don't have 2 Spear Whip users. Yes, these are Emperor's Children. My Infractor, or my Exultant. Two squads of 6 Flawless Blades. Are they considered one of the worst team-based elites in the game? Absolutely. But they are, in fact, all we have. So there's very little reason for me not to use them. Noise Marines are great. They don't scale well into very large objects. Thousand Suns, they only really need one type of unit, and it needs to be like an Osiran Dreadnought, or it needs to be some form of like actual melee unit, maybe. I mean, sort of. Okay, so, like, there's units people don't use in Thousand Suns for whatever reason that are actually good at their task. Like, the Chaos Spawn from the Thousand Suns. You have to scale pretty hard into them to kill them. I've had Chaos Spawn survive an entire turn of Imperial Guard shooting. Like, just straight up Imperial Guard shooting. And then both of my Chaos Spawn came out the other side completely fine. But yeah, less focus on character units for Thousand Suns. Maybe one more character that is interesting for Emperor's Children. Like, almost like a sniper character. I don't know. Emperor's Children like being up close. They love the thrill of melee combat. Okay, let's be real, though. The thing Emperor's Children need is for Games Workshop to reboot Chaos Bikes. And then you drop Chaos Bikes and the Doom Rider. Like, I feel like the Jai Katan thing, like the whole White Scars character that came out with the hover bike, that's the introduction to what's coming, right? Like, new Space Marine bikes are going to be like hover bikes. So part of me wants them to drop a Doom Rider model. And the Doom Rider model will be like, this is what Chaos Bikes are going to be soon. And then Chaos Bikes come out like a year or so after. And make it fun. Make it like a demon engine almost. Right? Like, where they're almost Centaur-like. Where it's like a Chaos Space Marine merged with like a Chosen-y demon type system. And the motorcycle is kind of its Centaur back legs. Like, why would that not be cool? Yeah, the average person who wants to use Chaos Bikes, because, by the way, Chaos Bikes are useful. They're high in durability. They're low in cost. There's almost no reason not to use them. But if you want to use them, you gotta convert them, because, like... Or you can, I guess, use the ones that are in place, which I think are the same models as when I played 3rd edition. Pretty sure those are the 3rd edition models that I remember. Which, I mean, if you want a blast from the past, I guess. Part of me wanted to see if I could find the old Raptor models for the Raptor kill team. That way I could run, like... Not, like, the old ones, not the super old ones. The ones that came out after the old ones... That had, like, the inverted exhaust vents. Because that would have been cool. Show up to a kill team tournament with my Raptors kill team made up exclusively of, like, 4th and 5th edition Raptors. Because those Raptors look cool. I kind of like the new ones. I more liked the 4th and 5th edition Raptors, because those jump packs were huge. Well, so the running rumor right now for 40k is that almost everything in 40k that's Space Marine is going to get grab plated. So all the normal vehicles, like, they might even get rid of Rhinos kind of situation. Because Rhinos can't carry Primaris, and Primaris is the main type of Space Marine people use in their armies now. So if you want Primaris transports, I think it either needs to be Land Raiders, I want to say, or it has to be Impulsors. And if that's the goal, is to reassess the visual aesthetic of Space Marines over to grab plates, the idea is always that the Chaos counterpart to any upgrade that Space Marines get is to lean into demonic power, right, as the counterpoint. You get Primarist, we get Flawless Blades, we get 8-bound, we get Chosen. So, okay, so which ones are they? Are they the way I would describe it for the Raptors, Der Herminator? Are they the ones with the, what would it be? The shower curtains on their backs? Or is it the ones with those really big exhausts that go up over top of their shoulders and face forward? Because there's the shower curtain variant, which was just like a bar on their back with hanging leather. And then there was the Reimagine, which were still metal, just like the originals. But they were so much crazier looking. But yeah, that's kind of the general idea, is now that everything's Primarist, the general refresh and calling of cards in this next iteration. Oh, the Duel. Those are so good. Those are so good looking, those ones. But yeah, we're going to see more Impulsors. Hover tanks are going to be more the Space Marine thing. They might still do Land Raiders, most likely. Maybe not, I don't know. And then Chaos Space Marines are probably going to get stuck with regular Rhinos and stuff, at least for a bit. Unless they decide to like make a big change and do like Demon Engine transports. It's kind of surprising, but also not. I think Games Workshop has seen enough of, like, positive effect of dropping games. Like, dude, the amount of people... Okay. When Space Marine 2 dropped, the way the local store runner talked about what happened was it was near impossible for him to keep Tyrannid, Space Marine, or Thousand Sun models on the shelf. Because everyone was coming in... Like, families of people, too. Like, mom, dad, and kid were coming in. The parents were, like, avid fans of tabletop games. And now that their kid's super interested in Warhammer 40k, they're like, oh, we want to get into it, too. That way we have that, like, that thing we can share with our kid. Alright, Something happened. But that kind of became the thing, right? Like, everyone really wanted to get into the universe, and Space Marine was the way that they felt that that was possible. So, as a company, when you look at that and you think to yourself, well, why don't we just put out more? Right? Like, why limit yourself to one big release a year if you could drop like a ton of them? Not only are you going to make money on the front... Let me grab 2 Q-tips, that's not good. Not only are you going to make money on the front of... Oh, son of a bitch. Of like general just percentage income, right? Percentage of sales. But you're also going to get the people who are like, what's this Warhammer thing? And then next thing you know, you got people buying books. You got people going to the stores, buying models. They're opening that new store in the first Warhammer World, I think, in the United States, right? That's going to Washington, D.C. That was one of their announcements. So that's kind of what we're dealing with, is people like wanting to get into it because of that. So yeah, like their old system of how that worked always ended up being, oh, well, let's just, you know, let's just release like 100 games then a year. Because even if one of them is a big hit, but then like a lot of people don't want to play that one, then they look around and they go, oh, but what's this orc one over here? What's this weird side-scroller shooter? I kind of want to play that. And then there you go. You got more people. I'm a little disappointed that the big games are starting to lean into like the named characters now. Like they're trying to bring named characters into the mainstream of just exterior media. What's up, JC Warhammer? Just trying to clean up. My airbrush again. I like this airbrush, but I do feel like the process of me painting with it dries the primer while I'm working on it, and it like screws up the barrel too much. We are almost done the primer side of things. We are working on Emperor's Children. And no, the Gundam game I don't think is out yet in the US, or maybe it is. I don't know anymore. I was trying to get the starter set, so I was paying attention to it to find the starter set when it dropped. Never got any information about it until way late when I started seeing people post up, hey, get your starter sets here. And then I was like, oh, cool, it's coming out. And then I realized that half the posts I was seeing were from like not this month. They were from like months ago, and I was like, wait a second. Because it was one of those things where Instagram was like giving me posts from a while back. And now I'm sitting there just like learning that it had come out. And that I basically completely missed my shot. The Gundam card / model starter sets, where you get like the cards and then you get some of the models, but you don't know what the models do right now. I think the model rules are only in Japan, so like you could get the rules for it and like try it out, but they're kind of slow releasing it to see how it works. But there was a box set that was 2 Leos and the Tall Geese. That was the set that I wanted. For those of you out there who don't understand who I am, I love the Tall Geese. Oh, Jim B. Do I think Warhammer 40K is gonna do alternating activations? No. The Tall Geese is supposed to look like a Spartan soldier. No, I don't think Warhammer 40K is ever gonna go to rotating activations for the game itself. The problem is rotating activations, as a person who loves Kill Team, takes so much time. It's not gonna happen. Cool. Like, alternating activations is not going to happen in 40K. And I like it. I prefer it. But when you have that many units on a field, you're already pushing the limits of a 3-hour game for tournament play. You're already pushing those limits. And now you want to add in, hey, now I have to alternate activations. They've done it to a few of their systems now. To my understanding, the Adeptus Titanicus, that game mode, that has alternating activations. I watched the Tactical Tortoise thing as well, where he went over the idea that like maybe different characters you take could come with like a stat like Activate 5, where if that character goes, then 5 other units of yours go because that character causes them to want to go for some reason. So, like, okay, sure. But consider how hard 40K is to balance right now. I don't think you get better when you do, like, alternating activations. Because then you have to start thinking in terms of, like, the individual characters, what else is in their army, how is that going to interact with other things, and it starts getting really, like, gray. I think it's great for Kill Team. Supposedly, it's very fine for the Adeptus Titanicus game mode. But yeah, not so much for 40K. Honestly, with 40k, I don't know how much I would change of it going into the next edition. I would probably clarify some things, and then I might reassess how Battle Shock works. I'm not super interested in 500 Worlds since I don't play Space Marines. I know Huron is in there, but that's also Chaos Space Marines, and that's... I play Emperor's Children, and I play Thousand Suns. The only Chaos Space Marines army I play is a Vashdor list for armor, and that's it. I'm not super interested beyond that. I understand that there's a lot of people who feel like Huron Blackheart should actually be kind of the War Master of Chaos. Because they kind of prefer his thought process for the whole chaos side of things. So it's cool to see him. I don't really feel like taking part in it. We did a crusade, though, at my local store. Supposedly it's supposed to be still going. But the person who was running it had this crazy holiday schedule pop up for him. So he wasn't really able to do too much for, like, missions and things. I think he said he was putting it on hiatus, so I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna, like, ever get anything back. Like, in terms of more missions for Crusade or what's gonna happen. I pretty much lost. I think I lost all but one of my missions for the early Crusade. It is hard playing Thousand Suns at 1k into almost anything else. Especially when the missions you're playing have, like, secret little things that happen that seem so counterproductive to anything you need to do as a Thousand Suns player. Like, we were kind of playing asymmetric missions and stuff. And sometimes in the asymmetric mission, it was like, oh, you need to rush down your opponent and get all of his stuff. And I'm sitting there as a Thousand Suns player like, what's rush down? Explain this to me. This doesn't sound like our slow and purposeful credo. Yeah, I haven't invested a lot of time in, like, thinking too much about the lore of 40k and how it is portrayed and what I kind of hope to get out of it. Because I get that it's corny as hell at times. Some of, like, the rationale behind it is also, like, just weak writing. I don't know how many of you in chat are in the same boat as me, as feeling like the history and creation of the Adeptus Sororitas was actually kind of dumb. I don't like that everything about them being as strong and as awesome as they are boiled down to someone getting word lawyered. Oh, you said we can't have a standing army of men. Like, I feel like there should have been much better writing for that than just that being how that is a thing. Oh, dude. Orc players, the only thing you need to fear as an orc player is if they decide to retcon the whole warp reality thing that they do, and then they actually are just like, oh no, the guns are, you know, they actually build them. They work, other people can use them. The moment they try to, like, normalize orcs, it's over for you. But I don't think that'll ever happen because people are too happy with where orcs are right now. I don't think it's going to be at 40k scale. Kill Team does alternating activations. Kill Team is 40k. If you want alternating activations, you play Kill Team. The thing you're losing in that system is high customization of character. You can't highly customized squads, and there's a reason for it. Because here's the thing. Here's what games systems that they have used in the past have taught them. The first iteration of Kill Team also, to my understanding, did the back and forth concept, and it had a high customization. So the meta was one of two things. You either had a bunch of Terminators with Feel No Pains, or you had a bunch of Guardsmen with plasma guns. That is it. Like, it all just comes down to you find the meta thing to spam, you alternate activations, spamming that one meta thing. And that's it. It kind of kills the enjoyment of the game. Now, what they could maybe lean into. So, here's the thing. I don't think any of us are in the boat of thinking that Battle Shock as it stands is a good idea. Maybe it's useful for, like, interesting turn of events where, oh, you need to score this point. Maybe you Battle Shock. Oh, no. Yeah, in the first, not the last one. The last one was second iteration. The first iteration. There was a way to take, like, Nurgle Terminators. So you had high armor saves, invulns, and Feel No Pains. So if someone ran into you with a plasma team, you could outlive most of the damage and kill enough plasmas to possibly turn the mission around and win. So that was how the game kind of ended up being. It was just plasma guns versus Terminators. It's just so stupid. But yeah, back to this thing. So Battle Shock sucks as a whole. There shouldn't be teams built around Battle Shock. If people want alternating activations, maybe we look more into reactive activations. Like, you want to talk about like alternating activation 40k. Mercurial for Emperor's Children. You take 3 squads of Chaos spawn, and then you take a bunch of on-foot guys. What happens is you have a 1 command point reactive move, and then every single one of your Chaos spawns can also reactive move. So you have 4 things in total on the field, every enemy movement, that can reactive move. Of course, you have access to Overwatch. It's not the best. But rather than create alternating activations, give people tools that are a little bit better to have reactive interactions in enemy turns. Because reactive kind of exists, right? Like, I'd almost view fights first as a reactive. Like, if you're going to charge into me and I have fights first, it's like I charged you as a reactive, but I didn't really do it. So I get to go before you. Have fun with that. These units can reactive move. I have a big squad of flamers that if you move near them, I'll just reactive shoot. And that kind of leans into what maybe needs to get expanded in the next iteration. Ways of utilizing reactive capability depending on situation. Maybe. Like, interruptive interactions, just work them out. Battle Shock would prevent that type of thing, but I don't know. Maybe Battle Shock does need an overhaul. If anything, that's like the main thing I think needs to change, is figure out something better to do with Battle Shock. My friends and I have talked about it, and we think at least like one of the things that needs to change is if, let's say, I Battle Shock you. Let's say I am playing a team that has that kind of a situation. I hope those kind of go away in future, maybe, because they're just it's a meaningless thing. Like, it's such a pointless concept. There's not enough stacking negatives in the game to really warrant caring about it, that kind of stuff. But, like, let's say there is a way for me in 11th to be like, you take a battle shock. Oh, you failed. Congratulations. If your squad's still at full strength after I battle shocked you and I don't go for it after that fact, you should have to try to test to get out of the battle shock in the following phase. You shouldn't just be like, oh, I'm good now. It should be a much scarier prospect to have something on the field that's like, yo, take a battle shock. And you're just like, ah, crap. There's already a lot of things in 40k that exist to counteract this. The Imperial Guard, when you're battle shocked, there's that thing you can do in your battle shock step, or the command step, where the commander of the squad kills one of the squad mates, and now they're not battle shocked anymore. So it kind of exists. There's the one-off per game command point function to not have to take a battle shock and auto pass. Like, you can have counterplay to it. Things should just have the counterplay needed. We are almost done the primer. I've only had to clean this brush twice. But maybe figure out more reactive functions. Or even if you want them, maybe clarify a bit more. Because I know Eldar, the thing that made Eldar so strong for the longest time was that they had access to a lot of reactive situations. One of the things that people claim makes the Thousand Suns strong is that a lot of their spells can be used to react to very specific things. Like if you want to rapid ingress some Terminators 9 inches away from me because I can't see you, but I'm next to the wall and could, in my shooting phase, move 6 inches through the wall to shoot you. It was great to see the very misguiding statting at the beginning of the year for like the early year GTs, where 2 people in all the GTs that were played in the early part of the year played Thousand Suns, and they both won their tournaments, so they had a 90% win rating. I love it when stats don't line up with actually how an army looks and feels. Yeah, maybe more reactionary function. They have to keep it simple, though. 40k as a system is an entry point for people. I would say, like, 40k is easier to play than Kill Team. 40k is probably one of the easiest to generally play things. Easy to play, hard to master, to be specific. Whereas games like Kill Team are hard to play, hard to master. But as it is the entry point for most people into the Games Workshop universe of games, you need random kid from street to be okay walking into a store, playing a round of Combat Patrol with the guy running the store, and being like, I could do this, and then buying stuff. So I honestly don't know how much you change. Like, in all reality. If anything. You certainly don't change much of the core systems. That's probably one of the biggest things you need to not do. Because right now you've got an ocean of new players who are all extremely interested in continuing their play of the game. And if you just immediately go, oh, that's cool, you love this game, half the stuff that you know about it is now gone. If you do that this quick after they all joined up, I don't know how many people are going to keep going. And I know that's a thing that's common in Games Workshop type systems. The only thing that's constant in Games Workshop is change. But I really don't think you push it to an extreme anytime soon. Personally, I just wish AOS was more well received in the States. I know there's a crowd that likes playing it. But even during like streams on like War Games Live and stuff, he'll talk about the 40k games going on. And then whenever he brings up AOS, he's usually like, man, there's like 800 people here for 40k. And they even have the 10 guys that always play AOS as well. And like, it's a little bit like of a joke, but it's also very true. It is so true. The amount of people who are genuinely interested in AOS is just like the tiniest number possible. Personally, I really like AOS. I love the concept of it, at least. I like the fluid nature of combat. The one thing I don't like about it is how internal balance occurs within armies, because sometimes within an army's book, like, only half the book matters. I play Disciples of Tzeentch because, I mean, I play Thousand Suns, I use Tzeentch Demons, might as well. And if you look at the current Disciples of Tzeentch rules, literally any mortal, the Zangors, the like humanoid archery type people and stuff, they just suck. Like, every single one of them sucks. Their entire purpose is bad. They're bad at melee, they're bad at shooting, and their built-in prospect of reviving doesn't help when they can't revive when they're in combat, and their whole point is to be in combat. Like, everything about them is just dumb. They don't interact enough with the army burning rule. Like, they don't do anything. It's just the worst possible stuff. And then you go over to demons, and they all work together. Oh, your big demons are near your little demons, so everything's -1 to hit, and you get all these cool benefits and bonuses, and the burning works in all these different ways. It's like, why would you not go burning? It's just one of those dumb things where it's like, man, I really wish they had as much interest in, like, every part of the codex as they do this one part. The last of the primer. I'm gonna have to walk upstairs and dump out my paint cup. I love the idea of summonable spells. It changes how strategy works on the field. Because you might hyper-focus in on, like, oh, I gotta sit in this one area over here. But then, like, I could just summon a giant ball of death and send it your way. I have zero cares about it going over there and dying because it's not actually part of my overall army's points. I think my biggest issue with playing AOS locally is that the only other players near here that play, one of them plays an army that's explicitly counter to mine. Actually, they all play counter armies to me, but like they play two different styles of counters to me. And this isn't like they saw me playing and were like, how do we build an army that's going to counter him? No, I showed up with an army that was countered. That's how that worked. One of them plays Khorne, and Khorne's entire existence is, are you casting a spell? Guess what you're not doing? It's like, no. That's my whole thing. And then the other army is, oh, you have all these really cool rend functions? So, Ren doesn't matter to me. It's like, aw. None of my things help. Alright, we're almost on the pink now. We gotta let some of this dry. Awesomely, Steinelrez Primer doesn't take a lot of time to dry. No, I touched it. we go. The journey so far. I can't believe that internally I was debating buying a whole ass other combat patrol. Genuinely, just to get the other 6 flawless blades so I don't have to use my custom ones that I made. Because I don't really like them that much. Then maybe grab another 5 infractor unit, 5 tormentors. I do think that honestly the way I should be playing Emperor's Children is just like bulk on foots. Grab a couple demon princes, do like 3 big squads of infractors, 3 small squads of tormentors, and then as many flawless blades as possible, and then just go the peerless bladesman, and that's it. Like, I don't think there's much reason to do much else in Emperor's Children right now for me. I get that Mauler Fiends are kind of useful, but I've never used a Mauler Fiend and been like, that was awesome. Every time I've used a Mauler Fiend, I've always been like, why are these a thing? I did almost buy a Helldrake again. I almost did it. And I almost did it because someone pointed out to me that the Emperor's Children Helldrake is +1 toughness versus all the other Helldrakes. And my brain went, wait a second. That means I could get a Helldrake that's higher toughness than what? I think like War Dogs? I think War Dogs are 9s, right? It still has no OC, so that sucks. But it has +1 toughness versus the other Helldrakes. And then I remember it used to have +1 armor save too. And if that were the case, like if that stayed the case and didn't get changed, I probably would have actually grabbed one. Because then someone would have been like, oh, dude, don't these suck? And then they'd get to experience the pain that is T10 Armor 2. With an invulnerable save. Like, what do you do to that? Espouse to me your game plan on how you're going to deal with that kind of a Helldrake. Hell yeah. The brightest of pink. Do you like? I technically don't need to do the top to bottom because that's going to be cobalt in a second. Still gets me every time that the Emperor's Children answer to Primaris Marines are demon-infested Marines that have high heals. There's like a pettiness to that of like, oh, they're tall? Well, we're going to be taller. And then they became demonically infested and they were like the same height. They're like, high heels it is. Do you think if they add the Slanesh faction to one of the upcoming 40k video games, they're going to have to make it M for mature? Or like adults only or something? Like how lore accurate are they going to get? It's still my favorite thing of all time. One of the War Games Live that I watched. And they put a Emperor's Children player, I think he was Emperor's Children or he was Chaos Demon Slanesh, on stream. And the way this guy did it, his entire army was painted like Frank Frazetta style. Alright, Taco. He did it Frank Frazetta style, where there was just like nudity, like all over the place. Just nudity, just swinging dongs, nipples everywhere. Like, he went in on pure Slanesh. But he also put magnets inside of everything. Like, tiny, tiny little magnets. So whenever he does events, and he takes the army there with him, he has these little magnetized black bars. And he basically puts sensor bars all over his entire army. What if that was it, man? Like, what if that was the play for any of these games? Like, if the Total War one had, like, Emperor's Children as an enemy type, and then they summon a Keeper of Secrets, and it's just, like, bulk mosaic effect on, like, everything on it. They could animate it killing people in interesting ways, and it's just mosaics. Yeah, he would just go to an event and he'd have a big box with him that has like black bars just in it. And he just applies them to all of his models and then he just gets them together and ready to go for the day. Like, that guy has some dedication. No, yeah, it did, because you have to install those magnets and then cover them up properly. Thank God I bought more pink. There's got to be big bank in people who make STLs of like absolute pornography for Slanesh style demons. Like, you know, there's just for every one model of just normal stuff people buy from the STL market, like 1,000 for the other ones. You want Deathwatch chapters? Chat, name fun Space Marine chapters. You definitely need a really good, what were they called? The Cacarphanons or whatever? The ones that are shark themed? You gotta have one of the shark themed guys. Those guys are getting pretty big. Like, there's a decent bit of lore that people are really leaning into about them and being like, oh, these guys are so cool. These are the world eaters of friggin' Space Marine Legion. They're awesome. Their leader wears giant armor and he's like way bigger than any other Primarch. Or leader of standard type. The story of someone going to see him and then walking into a room to wait for him, and then he looks over and he sees that giant statue and he's like, oh, they have a giant statue of him, that's interesting. And then they just hang out there for a few hours, and then they realize that the statue, like, someone walks in the room and is like, my lord, and then the statue like turns to face him. You can probably get a really cool shoulder pad. I know one of the better conversions for that type of stuff I've seen is they take like the lower half of like a jawbone that looks almost like sharkish, and then they would put it along the neck guard, right? So you'd have like teeth coming up from the neck guard. And then sometimes the shoulder pads would have like teeth on top and bottom with the faction symbol in the middle. That's one of those cool factions that you could do some really fun conversions with. You get like those like Islander type stuff. What's up, J Peacock? We're trying to batch paint to a base tier before actually layer painting. the Emperor's Children I put together to add to my collection. The 10 infractors that don't have a leader, that way I can run 2 squads of 10 if I need. And then 12 total Flawless Blades, and then 1 more Exultant. I almost, as I've been saying on stream, bought another Emperor's Children Combat Patrol yesterday when I won the tournament for the Kill Team stuff. I remember for days last week, I kept talking about how the Hearthkyn sucked, how I wasn't planning on winning, how I figured they'd be like kind of fun to play, and that if I could get like a really cool plasma beamer attack off, that'd be great. Oh, nice. But yeah, that's all I kind of wanted. I wanted one really cool attack. I wanted to get some guy to, like, grudge 4. And then I wanted to run my plasma gun out with 3 ups to hit in a situation where 1 command point gave me full rerolls. And then just get 4 crits in a straight line and hit, like, 4 other people with 4 D3 mortals. That's all I wanted. Next thing you know, I was basically in control and winning the first game by about the end of turn 2. And I was like, I can't do dumb things anymore. I actually need to, like, try and see if I can win. And then I did. I think the first game I got a good plasma beamer shot off. The second game I didn't get one. Maybe I did. The third game I didn't, and then the fourth game I didn't. My opponents played very cagey, which prevented me from getting straight line shots on stuff. Also, Beta Decima sucks for that. Like, the best place you're doing plasma beamer work is the Vulcus map. Because we did Vulcus, Tomb, Gallo, and Beta. Which, by the way, I've grown to start liking Beta Decima as, like, I feel like it's different enough that you have to play whatever army you're playing completely differently. Yes, it gives a lot of it gives a lot of benefit to armies that are like, I don't care about vertical distance. And I fought the stealth suits on that map. So they were just, like, all over the place doing whatever the hell they wanted. Still won. I got a pretty legit sprint up and blow up 3 of them situation. I had some really good moments in turn 2 to just kill their drones right out. So they lost like a bunch of their do stuff function. They lost way too many activations. And I had decent control. The thing that really sealed that victory, though, was he flubbed 2 of his fusion shots into me. Like, fusion guns are no joke in that army. I sent forward units that I was cool with them dying, right? Like, it's grudge token work, it's fine. They can go up, they can die, it's all cool. But the first time he shot a fusion at me, he flubbed it, only did 1 normal hit of damage, which is 1 less than needed to kill me. And then the second time he did it, the exact same thing happened. So he lost out on a metric ton of damage into me. Which meant I didn't have to waste a lot of units in turn 2, and instead I was able to just dick around and do dumb stuff until turn 3 and get points. which is super useful. Still, though, I was really hoping I wasn't going to win that tournament. I was really hoping for, like, just a casual day of, you know, laughing, having fun with people. You know, just maybe end the tournament 2-2. Instead, I'm just even more burned out today than I was yesterday. I'm so tired. So stupidly tired. So what'd you get in the Nightbringer for? Actual play, or just enjoying that really baller-looking model? One of our buddies is thinking of getting back into 40k with Necron. That's probably the one thing from the 500 Worlds like event that I'm gonna try to let him know. I need to like get the link for it. I guess Necron are getting that box battle set or whatever. That's, I think, like one squad of every destruction type. Even though it'll be expensive, it'll still be a deal by comparison to buying them all individually. So I was gonna try to like let him know about that, because that would be pretty big for him to at least just like buy that and then hang out. Even if he's not going to build it right away, just to have it on hand. Alright, good thing I bought the extra pink. One pink bottle, done. I was also wondering if I was going to buy the Sinacessa. Because that was the whole thing, right? Like, I was supposed to get a Sinacessa at some point. Because I have the Dexessa as a Demon Prince, and then I was going to have the Sinacessa as a third one, so if I ever went triple Demon Prince with wings in Emperor's Children, that would be it. It would be my Sigvald with wings, followed by a Dexessa and a Sinacessa. And they still have the box. So I could still get it at some point. But I don't know, man. So what'd you guys do over this weekend? Anyone do anything fun? Crack open this pink. Had a swap meet. Neat. What up, Max? I'm tired, boss. Won a kill team tournament, Max. I did it. I didn't plan on doing it, but I did it anyway. Ooh, that's not bad. When you say missing one weapon, are you saying, like, it's just like, that's it? Or did what I think happen, where the person wanted double Gatling? So he bought two Questoris Knights so he could get the second Gatling gun, and now he wants to get rid of the parts. Double Gatling. Why are you making world eaters, man? Also, there's multiple ways to approach trim. You might want to, I don't know, depends on how much trim world eaters have. You might want to, like, make them all brass and then just paint the panels. Or whatever trim color you're going for. Clean some of this. I saw a picture of world eaters that were like scorpion green. Like they looked like striking scorpions. And it looked kinda baller. It was like bright green and then silver or something. And I thought that's what I would do. One of the people at the store who really loves corn. Like, that's his whole thing. He's the corn version of me and my Thousand Sons. He has some of his stuff painted in, like, the red with brass. He has some of it painted Loyalist with the white and blue. He's all over the place with it. I mean, that's chaos. Chaos is the gamble. It's taking psychic tests. It's relying almost exclusively on advance rolls. Space Marines are the hyper efficient that don't need to care about it. Every play I make as a Thousand Sons player is literally like, I have to do this, and if it doesn't work, we may as well shake hands. And that's insane to me. I've recently found out some weird rules lawyering about the Thousand Sons. So, like, there was an errata somewhere that someone found where if you can reactive move, right? And the reactive move says, hey, you can reactive move 6. It'll usually say you can reactive move up to 6, right? Apparently what that means is if your unit can only move 5, when it says that you can make a normal move of up to 6, what it actually is saying is if you're a movement 5, you can only go 5. So the double move function that Thousand Sons get that can give a squad 6-inch move in the shooting phase, if I'm doing it on my Terminators who can only go 5, that means I can only go 5 with it. And this is one of those things where I think it was like errated as like something about the Space Marine Scouts, right? So it was over there that this was brought up, but then all these other armies kind of needed that information and like no one had it. So that was fun to find out. Doesn't really affect my Mercurial if I go reactive moves, because everything in the Mercurial list that can move goes bare minimum 7. Even the Terminators would go 6. If Terminator squads had 10-man squads, I might have actually purchased some Terminators for my Emperor's Children. The fact that you can only take 5-man squads is insane to me. Maybe they're just doing it so that you don't buy too many before they announce, like, the specialty Terminators. I think they're called, like, the Phoenician Terminators or something. And yeah, I know about the corn army rule, the dice that you roll, with one of the things tied into whether or not Angron revives. But if you don't have Angron in your army, it's like whatever. You still get like a good bonus, I think, out of it. But it still feels like a loss. Because if you do roll it, and you're like, at least I get, you know, this thing. One more for pink, and then we go to cobalt. Does something else come from trip 6? Or no? Because if you get trip 6, and you don't have an Angron, and nothing else comes from trip 6... I rolled a bunch of 666s at my recent Kill Team tournament. I gotta remember that that does equal Angron, because if I roll 666s, I need to be like, oh, where's my Angron? Oh. It'll be so good. The running joke with most of the corn players at the local store is that if Angron's not in your army list and you roll 666s, you should just be able to put Angron on the field. Like, without him in your list, you just take him and put him on the field. That would be an AOS as hell thing to do. The whole reason of paying for it is that he starts on the field. Like, that's it. But then that just means his cost is built into every army in some way, shape, or form. Like, next thing you know, Corn Berserkers and 8-Bound are all like 10 points more per squad. It'll be like the issue with the old point system for AOS where demon summoning, you could demon summon in the Disciples of Tzeentch, right? So you'd start on the field with whatever you paid for. And then every turn, based on like certain numbers, you could add demons to like what you had on the field that weren't in your list. And everyone's like, oh, that's so cool. But what ends up happening is like everything in your army costs way more. Because it's assuming that you're going to summon all that stuff. Yeah, you gotta cast all these spells, and it, like, builds up points, and then you burn the points in order to, like, summon stuff. But, like, the summons are never cool. And the only way to really play it, I think it was called, like, the Summoners Guild. That was the detachment you would go. It would start you... Oh, no, it wouldn't let you summon, like, anything but birds. But it made the bird cost, like, way cheaper. So you could usually, depending on what you had on field, if everything went okay, you could summon like a bird turn 1. So you'd have a bunch of like mortals on the field, and then all of a sudden you'd have just like a demon prince, a greater demon of Tzeentch just like running around the field immediately, and you could do that. You could do that then, but then the cost would go up the next time you do it. So you couldn't do it again the next round. You had to like wait 2 rounds or something. It was weird. All right, so technically we can't put them all on table for this next part. Because it's very specific where the paint for this needs to go. Pretty sure Cobalt. That Cobalt's just empty. Cobalt turquoise. We need to be decently careful of the application for this. Ah, sugar-free Fanta. Delicious. Because, like, yeah, we can't go hard with the Cobalt. Vaporwave. You haven't found crossover content between Gundam and 40K? Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. If you're looking for something. I can tell you, we watched a tournament once at my buddy's house while we were over there, where someone was playing Chaos Demons. And instead of actually having models, he instead just had a bunch of bases that he put Gundams on top of, and then claimed that they were Chaos Demons. In a way that was like, it made no sense. Like, even the Gundams were like poorly put together, which made it feel like he just bought a bunch of bases and then got like his hands on a bunch of cheap Gundam kits and figured it would be fine as stand-ins for a tournament. But I mean, the closest you could get to like the Gundam style of things is Knights. But like, are you trying to find like a game that's like mecha but also tabletop like 40K? I don't know if there's any like anything that's worthwhile, but I have heard of things. I think they're called like 30-minute missions where you build sort of mobile suits. I think it's called 30-minute missions. But I haven't heard great things when people talk about 30-minute missions. Like, I know it exists. I know it's a thing, and I know it involves mechs. And I thought that that would be cool, and I wanted to kind of look into it, but then I started hearing people be like, yeah, it's just really boring. It's like, oh, uh-oh. Yeah, they're doing the Hex variant of the card game. We were talking about that earlier. I wanted to get the box that had the Tallgeese and the 2 Leos in it, because I am an avid fan of the Tallgeese. But I missed my chance, so super fun for me. It's a brandless? I thought it was like I thought there was a game attached to it. Because there was... Someone was talking about a game they were playing. I can't remember the name of it now. Where you had to, like, design your mobile suit based on, like, power cells, weapon outputs. Like, there was a lot of very, I would say, like, Armor Core level construction requirements to it. The game he was talking about. And then you could, like, PvP other players and stuff. And that one sounded cool. And if you're looking for hex-based games, apparently BattleTech, one of the many variants of how to play it, involves hex. Supposedly there's like a freeform way to play BattleTech, but people sell hex mats for it, so like it's not hard to play it in the hex mat format. The newer BattleTech, there was another mode of it that was just flat board. Like, you could play with inches or hex, is what I watched someone do. They were like, yeah, if you like the hex mode, do it this way. And a lot of people like the hex, so they play hex. But if you're more into, like, freeform mats and, like, weird stuff, you can play it this way. I was like, oh, alright. I mean, hex seems better. A lot of people, there's a lot of hype around the Gundam card game. A lot of hype around that Gundam card game. To be clear, there's also a lot of speculative hype around the Gundam card game. So, and by speculative hype, I mean people who expect to purchase the models and then resell them on the market for scalper prices, as well as hunt down card shipments, buy the card shipments out, and then resell the singles. A Grimdark mech game was what? It was what was it called? It was set on Earth. It was set in like World War II, but we all had like mechs. But they were kind of like repurposed farming equipment. God, what the hell was it called? There was a pretty decent computer game that came out built around it. Iron Harvest. I like the aesthetic of Iron Harvest. Not all TCGs have the speculative market. I think the main reason Gundam does is because they don't often do things like to this caliber. And it's that right blend of like nostalgia fused in with just crazy levels of limited print items. Because do we even know their print schedule? Like, how often am I going to have access to the Tall Geese models? Is it going to be one of those situations where it's like, the Tall Geese is coming out this this Halloween or whatever, and then, like, they don't print anymore after that for, like, a year? Like, how screwed am I if I don't get one? And I want to play that kind of a deck. Because I played Underworlds, which is like a very close conceptual cousin. And we're all familiar with how Games Workshop likes to limitedly print things occasionally. So when I tell you that after learning about Underworlds and learning that I wanted to play the Ephelum, when I found out that the Ephelum were very difficult to find, I was ecstatic when I went to this one random hobby shop not far from me that happened to have the complete box set that the Ephelum came in. And Underworlds isn't exactly a speculative game. Like, no one really cared about it. So you hit the tier of, like, Gundam speculative. I can't wait for my local card shop to never have stuff for it despite carrying it. It's going to be fantastic. Vaporwave. Trying to get local people more interested in like contacting me to like play games. I spent most of that last tournament reminding everyone that like, hey, I'm on your Discords, you know. I hear you guys trying to play AOS and stuff. I play AOS too if you want. You know, just let me know. Give me the info. Some of them are talking about trying to learn Big Hammer. 3 more. While we wait for these to dry, we might want to hit up starting up the heads. No, yeah. Once the game comes out and metas start to get established, because it's going to be one of two things. It's either going to be meta-based market placing. Like, if somebody's like, yo, this one card and mech type this is the one that wins tournaments, then that's when we start getting the realm of, like, yeah, this is going to be the expensive one. Kind of like the Magic the Gathering approach. Alternatively, it would be the collectible ones, where it's like, oh, well, the artwork on this card, even though the card's not great, is unique and rare. It's done by the guy that did the original artwork for the episode. This is a piece that wasn't seen anywhere in the episode at all. Like, that's when we start getting to the weird places for pricing with Gundam Assemble. We'll start to really flesh out how that marketplace is going to look. But it will be speculative. The question is the longevity of that speculation. And if I'm not mistaken, the models for it they come like unpainted. Do they come basic? Like, do they come like like how the models do normally, where it's like some of the pieces are kind of the color they need to be? And I could have swore when I looked at it last, it was straight up like plastic. Like, it was just colored plastic. Like one color. And then you had to paint it if you wanted to paint it. At which point it does at least achieve multiple of the marketplaces that it possibly could, which is the nostalgia marketplace, the meta marketplace, and then the skilled artisan marketplace. So getting your hands on like all the rare cards, like if there's, you know, hollows and different foils and uniques and all that. The ultimate end goal for a person who really wants to like nerd flex in that game would be like buying a perfectly painted from a well-known painter set of models of the types you want with like all foils and whatnot for the cards. Yeah, I could have swore I saw that it was gray. Where's my chartreuse? I wonder if Jack's going to take me up on the offer to paint his models. Genuinely, I want to do a Nurgle army that's like pristine white. Like, I want to do that pristine white Nurgle army that has, like, that undertone of, like, a slight blue or teal or something. So it's got, like, a nice, cool shadow. Or, like, a bluish green. I don't know. One of those. Trim, beautifully silver. Everything about him screams cleanliness. And then to just take, like, a wad of Agrax earth onto a brush tip, and then back near the butt crack of every single one of them, just do like a glob of it so it comes out and like just drips down their pants leg and stuff. So they just look nominally clean, and then they shit themselves. And it's the whole joke. It is the whole conceptual joke of that army. I also got someone else on the line for possibly getting me to paint their Aldari Windrider host army. He was playing Tau Kroot at a tournament. He was bringing up his Windrider host that he wanted to play, but he didn't know of a paint scheme. So I told him it was like dark purple to bright yellow, which apparently is the Vikings colors for those into sports ball. And he is a massive Vikings fan. So he was like, what? He was like, how did you know? It's like, I didn't. I just said colors that I thought looked cool together. So the next step after vapor waving, which you're probably like, what do you mean there's steps after the vapor waving? Clear the brush out. Next step after vapor waving is using Liquitex white ink. Probably one of the best whites you can put into an airbrush because it is pre-thinned perfectly. So as long as you're not heavy-handed on the pressure, it applies perfectly. You even get a little eyedropper for it. And the way we approach this was top-down angle. We have to do this because the purple we're about to use is very transparent. So doing the purple over the cobalt does pretty much nothing. Just makes it look like a really dark purple blue. I will say at the tournament I went to, he ordered pizza for everyone. And that first pizza tried to kill me. Whoever made it burned the crust. It was the driest pizza I've ever eaten. To the effect of when I tried to swallow it, it immediately dried out my throat. Like completely. It just dried out my throat. And then the cheese was just like, yo dog, I can't. It's too dry. And then it just stopped moving. So, near-death experience at a kill team event. That was pretty good. Pretty good. I was like, wow, this is how I die. Poggers. Oh, so much bulk painting. We're on hour 3, and we're only just now getting to, like, the purple coat. This is why I said we're doing the rest of it tomorrow and during the week. There's no way in hell. There's no way in hell I one-night this. We get them to the purple, and then we call it. I am thinking of buying another Land Raider and doing what I will call the dumbest thing of all time and actually playing Rapid Evisceration with dual Land Raiders. Flawless Blade. I wonder if the parts exist within Games Workshop parameters so I could still go to a GW tournament to turn a Helldrake into a Phoenix. I mean, this is the Phoenix army. It's the Phoenician. It's all that stuff. It's like the wings, all of it. It just has that feel. Helldrakes are some of the tougher versions in this army. Like, they're T10 instead of T9. Like, it's the big thing. It's one of their big key differences. They used to have armor 2 before that got nerfed. But if instead of a dragon, if I could have a phoenix flying overhead. That could look incredible. It'd be like prime. Two more and then the head rack. What up, Rax? How's it been, man? Bored. God damn, bro. What game you waiting for? Anything coming out? Catches your fancy? Oh, nice. The Gym Life. Screamer. Oh, RE9. Alright. Getting back into the horror genre. Have you tried Routine? I highly suggest it. Support your indie horror companies. They did an anime racing game? Oh, Crow County? Or Crow Country? That's pretty good. There was a really good PlayStation era looking one that I brought up on the Spawncast once because everyone was yet again complaining about the no fixed camera angle horror games and how survival games don't really feel good and blah, 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 blah. I'm going to change glove for this last bit. And then I went, have you played this? And they went, no. And I'm like, cool. You know, the usual cycle of events. There was Crow Country, but then there was another one. It was set in kind of a cyberpunk universe where you're in a car and then you're in one of those, like a hovering car, and you're tasked with going down into the smog at the bottom of this town to try to figure out what happened to someone. And then while you're down there, like, it's just all old tech and like weird biological body horror stuff, and it's like, ooh, this is cool. It's like a little bit closer to Silent Hill, a little bit closer to RE. Like, it's kind of a halfway point. Let me look it up. PlayStation 2 style survival horror cyberpunk. Came out like last year. Hollow Body. All one word. Here, let me pause some music specifically for the Twitch fam, which you are on Twitch. So Twitch people, you aren't gonna hear, or YouTube people, you're not gonna hear this, but if you want to check out the Hollow Body stuff, let me just pause that real quick. This is Hollow Body. Which, oh, hang on. Hold please. I forgot to unmute this. I remember watching this, and the inventory system was insane. It's kind of like RE with like Jenga-ing your stuff. Take the makeshift club. So like a little bit of RE, because Silent Hill didn't have as many like ridiculous guns and stuff. But then a lot of the elements feel like the survival horror of Silent Hill. So yeah, that was a pretty cool one. That was one I watched a few people play. At least a little bit. I didn't watch everything about it. It's pretty cool. I've been playing Routine, and Routine is awesome. Routine's the one that's set on the moon. You're an engineer who was called out there to fix some stuff. And as far as you can tell, there's nobody left on the station. They're all gone. You don't know where they went, and you're trying to figure out how to get off the station because you can't at that moment. You can't get information out. You can't get anything into the world, so you have to like try to get somewhere, shut down some stuff, and then it kind of turns into like alien stuff. Like, it's pretty cool. It's probably closer to Alien Isolation if you enjoyed Alien Isolation. But it doesn't hold your hand. That's my favorite thing about that game, is that it does not hold your hand at all. On stream, this actually happened because I played it on stream on Twitch for a little bit. There was a moment where I was trying to get into a living area, like I was trying to enter a code to get into a place, and there's this little robot that's walking around. It's like a little CRT TV with like little spider leg type things, mechanical spider legs. And it was just walking around like, yeah, go enter your information. And it just walks over to the computer, stares at you for a little bit, and it's just like, are you an idiot? Just type your stuff in, man. Like, it starts mocking you. It was great. The whole time I'm like, I don't have an inventory. I don't know what my information is. How do I not? I was getting really pissed off. And then eventually I walked over to the robot that was on the ground. I looked down at it. And in my process of looking down at it, I realized you could see your character model. And then in the top left chest plate of the armor you're wearing is an ID badge with a number on it. That's how you find out what your number is, by just looking down. Like, that blew me away when that happened. And that was the whole game too. They used a little bit of game theory, like if a box is sparking, maybe you have to do something to it. Yellow wires are kind of important, but like they don't just hit things with like waypoints and markers, and they're not just constantly telling you how to play the game. And I miss that, man. I miss that about games. So it was cool to see it. Zoom in a little bit. This guy's gonna play DDR like a fiend. A DDR fiend. Behold, the purple of choice for my emperor's children. Fluorescent purple. We had a friend back in high school who was a, quote, professional DDR player, unquote. He had a whole setup in his basement, custom-built mats, all the stuff. And he was playing it all the time. Like, his setup, at the end of the day, was, I want to say, he had like 10 crates of water just sitting next to his TV. Like big crates of bottled water. His TV had a sort of emulation system with the Step Mania. The Step Mania stuff that had all of the DDR songs on it completely. And he was just constantly playing so that he could go to tournaments. I remember we went to Otakon that year, and the entire purpose for him to go to Otakon was to go to the Otakon tournament. That was the only reason he wanted to go. He didn't want to do anything else. Didn't care about like any of the other game room stuff. Didn't care about any of the things being shown. Just wanted to go to compete in the tournament. So he could outdance nerds. I usually just put something on TV, like a stream or something. I got a walking pad over here. The last thing I need to do is twist my ankle playing DDR. Have to explain it to someone. Yeah, these are the Combat Patrol ones, man. Well, these might be. I bought an extra 2 boxes. And I bought the extra 2 boxes because I figured I did want, like... I wanted a bunch of Flawless Blades. And Jack, I won a tournament yesterday. And with the money I earned, I was staring at another box of Combat Patrol. I stared at it the whole day that I was just like... I think I was there for an extra 25-30 minutes after everyone had left. Just being like, do I get it? That'll be the last of my Flawless Blades. I'll be able to do another... make my other 5-man Infractors into a 10-man, and then do another 5-man of Tormentors. No. It was a Kill Team. It's Kill Team tourney for that weekend. Got a medal. I won with the Hearthkyn Salvagers, who for the entire week prior to going to this tournament, I had been talking about how bad they are. The main reason I picked them is because I assumed I was going to lose. I was like, I'll just play whatever. I don't want to think. First round that I get through, if I lose, whatever. I don't care. And then I 4-0'd the thing. Speaking of which, I gotta check to see if BCP is back up and running. I don't understand what's happening to that program, but I tried to log in the other day to look at my old scores so I could talk about some of my tournaments this year while streaming. And I swear to God, like, it just didn't log me in. It kept kicking me out to their website. None of my old, like, tournament stats were up. I don't mind going to tourneys. Kill Team ones are great because there's not a big Kill Team scene locally, so people are starting to learn, so it feels like we're all kind of a part of a growing thing. And I mean, I was already ahead of the curve by having played it so much with pretty much Ran and everyone else for as long as I did. Like, we really dove into the rules and how to play and all, like, the cool secret strats and things. Like, we had it all down pat. We know all the fun stuff you can do in that game. And now I'm playing with people who are, like, either brand new or semi-new. So when I charge in with a Nux, and my Nux uses his D3+1 mortal damage to you, and then recharges into you, and then doesn't fight you, like... You see shock in people's eyes, man, when your melee guy runs in and then doesn't fight. And they're just like, why'd you do that? And I was like, I'm just like, because what are you going to do? You gonna fall back, waste 2 of your AP, then shoot me? You gonna fight me with your character that's not gonna hit as hard as my character? You might win, but you're gonna be at 2 health, bro. I'm safe where I'm standing. You can't shoot me here. Like, we know the secrets. So it's cool watching everyone else kind of grow with that information and understand, like, oh, I can do this, and then next thing you know, they're kicking everyone's asses. Yeah, they try to do it once a month. Like at the early part of the month on a Saturday now. So I might see if they keep doing it. I gotta try to get my Raptors done painted before the next one though. Because I think the Raptor rules are gonna come out maybe at the end of this month. And I'm gonna want to run them. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. But yeah, I linked you that the game that was going on today because I saw Flyblown Host. I saw he was bulk using Terminators, so I figured you could look at it, see kind of how he plays into things. I think he won. He beat Tau though, so like you have to kind of assume this is how you play into Tau because Tau's all ranged, and I think he did everything he could to run right up to him to give them all -1 to hit. Oh, he lost to IG? Did they do 2 of them that day then? Because the one I watched was Tau. They made him play twice. It's interesting to see that game from War Games Live because apparently what happened was he talked to someone to come out and host his stream because he wanted to play in the tournament. So it's kind of cool to see him be like, I really want to get back to playing this game despite being the person who's been hosting games for this for like years. Let's clean the airbrush real quick. I think I know the thing that keeps messing up on these. If I wait too long to keep painting, the paint dries in the specifically the tip area up here. Which means I just have to pull this off. We are so close to being done today's process. What we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 more guys to go for the purple, and then we are done until layer painting happens this week. Alright, make sure that's clear. It is. Let's do some flow improver, just a little bit. Get the purple back in. Flow improver should slow down the rate at which it dries. I'm interested in using Flawless Blades more. I know that everyone talks about how they're mid and definitely not worth the points, but like, it's what we got, man. They killed your Terminators, so like, they can't be all that bad. I guess it's just like difficult to use them because they're trade, right? Like you have to use them to bring something down. And then afterwards, they're usually left out in the open to just die. It's very difficult to keep them going after that fact. What a lot of people do in EC is they'll try to use 1 or 2 Mauler Fiends because they're just durable. It's a tank. But, I mean, if you're playing at a tournament, most people have skewed into tank tier stuff. So you send a tank out. If you send it out too early before enemy anti-tank is dead, like, say goodbye to your Mauler Fiend, it's dead. We don't get Terminators, not like real ones. We can only take 5-man Terminator squads, which means we can only have, in large-scale games, 15 Terminators at most. And they're not even, like, super special. The only thing they really get, unlike other armies where they're either super tough or you know, like minus to wounds, or oh, you can get minus to hit on this easy, blah 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 blah. They are, if you shoot all of the guns you've chosen to shoot in your shooting phase at a single target, you can re-roll your charge roll into it. Which, if you consider the full extent of what that means, it is a dumb ability. Because if you, let's say, build that team to be really good at shooting, but your hope is still to charge, if you can get that Terminator squad to like 6 inches from me, and then you unload all of your attacks into me, and I pick up enough units to make you suddenly 12 inches from me, you can reroll into me all you want. EC is missing backline heavy fire support. The most backline heavy fire support we have is Land Raiders. And not like the machine gun Land Raiders, but the actual las cannon Land Raiders. Which you can't really stack with anything to make their abilities and powers redundant so that they're actually useful. They did kind of change the rapid evisceration rule to be a little bit better with it, because now you can reroll ones for all of your transports. So your rhinos can reroll ones shooting at people, which whatever, it's good for fodder. But then your las cannons hit on 3s, reroll 1s. So it's like, it's nice. Heavy bolters, missiles, las cannons, it's all very important. Oh, World Eaters have way more shooty than we do. Because all the shooty upgrade for World Eaters is that everything gets worse to hit but rapid fire. So there were builds that people had in World Eaters that was like rush down Forge Fiends, where the Forge Fiends would just run at people to get rapid fire plasma cannon shots into them. And then you just hope for a really good spike in your attacks. And then that's it. Like, you just get a ton of plasma. You could even take a Land Raider to try to go for sustained hits or rapid fire on las cannons. You fire, like, so many las cannons from close range. And then you can even lean into, like, in Gore Track, you could lean into Hellbrutes. You can lean into Hellbrutes anywhere. Where something shoots a Hellbrute and doesn't kill it, and you're a ranged Hellbrute, you now pick a nearby target and just unload into it. So many bullets. But yeah, we don't really have backline for damage output, which sucks because usually you want something back there so you can screen and all that. But instead, we just get to waste like a Tormentor squad, which I guess is fine. What's up, Francois? Coming in close to the end for my stream today. We're coming up on 3.5 hours. I've been fighting this airbrush to try to keep it going. But there's one specific nozzle component on the front that seems to keep clogging because it doesn't take a lot of paint to dry in there to get it to be a problem. So once we're done the purple, that's it for today. Tomorrow we will probably start in on the actual rendering. It was good. I won. We got a medal. Got some money. I didn't expect to win because Hearthkyn. The Hearthkyn Salvagers. So that was very surprising. But I did get to manipulate some dice with the grudge function, the crit rates. I got a couple good spike rolls when I needed them. My opponents gave up some blast targets. I got at least one, I think, maybe two decent Edikarn shots off for the plasma beamer. I was really hoping to not go full throttle on thinking yesterday. I was really hoping to just like chillax at a tournament. But you know, once you start getting the tempo of a victory, you're just like, I have to keep going. Like, I don't want to just insult my opponent by being like, I've kicked the shit out of you that round. Good thing I'm planning on doing nothing next round. It's like, don't. Oh, Jack. I think at least two of the players had your level of indecision when playing into me. Like, I kept putting them in situations where, like, any choice they were about to make would end in misery. Like, I had one guy standing up on top of a 2-story in Beta Decima, the sort of like rigs map, like crosswalks and stuff, or catwalks. So he was up on top of a 2-story there, and then there were two guys next to a ladder on like ready to go behind him that they couldn't get to. And the whole time he didn't have too many activations left. He's like, I want to go up over top here, but if I do, I'm dead. And I was like, yep. So he's just sitting there staring at it for like 15 minutes. I was like, oh, this is a familiar feeling. Each round was 2 hours long. I managed to only play to the final round in, I want to say, one of the games. I think it might have been 2. I might have gone to the end in 2. But there were 2 games where my opponent was just like, dude, you're kicking my ass. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you, bro. I came here with dwarves expecting to lose. I was so one of the key things I did was my leader, I went the long-ranged gun on him. And I just kept him at the back. And my whole idea was, turn 4 is when he matters. And it just made the game so easy, because every enemy kept wanting to be like, I need to get his leader. Because his leader's the one covering me in all these debuffs that make it so that he constantly crits me. I need to kill his leader. And my leader's just like, you gotta get through my army to get to me, bro. So I had one game where in the 4th turn, it was either the 3rd or the 4th turn, I finally got to use my leader on someone. I had already taken their character, their butcher, down to like like nothing. I was playing into Legionary. This isn't like a sanctioned tournament, so Legionary was still like cool to play. We don't really care that much about it. So I got his butcher down to I think 6. And then I stacked him up with 4 grudge tokens, and I ran over with my leader in the following turn. And I hit him for 4 crits in melee. And I was like, I only needed the 1. You can't damage me, bro. Just ended his life. Clear some stuff real quick, because this is the last guy right here. I just need to do a little bit of work, but the airbrush has obviously way too much dry paint in it. Gotta clean it up real quick. But it was good. Apparently they try to play every Thursday. I gotta start looking into that and maybe heading out that way. The problem is they play at night. So I'd have to drive a half hour to get there at night. Across a bridge that sometimes around that hour is like, it'll make my half-hour trip into a 45-minute trip. Which, that's insanity. I hate that the 2 groups I have found that play Kill Team heavily in this area both play at stores that are bare minimum like 30 minutes away from me in the opposite directions. Like, none of them play anywhere close to me. I think the closest I found is there's this one guy who converted his entire basement into a game room. And he tries to run games out of his house occasionally. And that person's like 24 minutes away from me. And I have to drive through like a bunch of neighborhoods to get to him. Why does everyone only play it weekdays on nights, never a weekend? You don't need to, dude. I'm pretty sure with what we gave you, you're fine. Let me show you. And I mean, regardless, I also have like 20 teams here. One of which is the team I'm about to show you that I'm pretty sure you have. I think Ran has a couple teams as well. Where are they? There they are. So, this is the team, because you play Death Guard. You need a Plague Marine champion, which is a Plague Marine champion, specifically with a sword and a plasma pistol. These are on 32s, which all the Plague Marines you have are on. You need a Bombardier, which is a guy that looks like he has a grenade in his hand. Or you can just be like, this guy's my Bombardier. Maybe paint his base rim differently. Specifically, he's just a Grenadier with a bolt gun and fists. The one that I have, which isn't from this box, it's a custom converted one, is just a Plague Marine with a bolt gun in one hand and a grenade in the other, which comes in the standard box of Plague Marines. You can easily make them. Plague Marine Fighter has a Flail of Corruption. That's that really big flail thing that I'm pretty sure you have a bunch of from maybe Max's guys? I don't know if one of Max's guys has it. Heavy Gunner. This is the one with the Plague Spewer, which if the last time I saw your stuff that you had in your box, you had like 8 of these. These are the ones with the big backpacks and the big flamethrower backpacky thing. Icon Bearer. I gave you an Icon Bearer. Malignant Plague Caster, which is a sorcerer on a 32. You can have something stand in for this pretty easily. Like if you have a character that's on a 32, perfectly fine. And then a warrior, which guess what? I'm pretty sure you've got a guy with a bolt gun in his hand. That's the team, bro. And you don't even take all of them. You have to pick 5 from here. So like you can drop 1 for a warrior. And that's the team. There you go. You get access to poison, disgustingly resilient. I think Astartes rule. That's your faction rules. Contagion, lumbering death. Like this is all very Plague Marine themed. Your faction equipment. There you are. Already got some errata going. Yeah, it's a 6-man team. That's it. Elites are usually 6-man teams. There's a super elite team that's 5. Right now. I think it's the Raveners are 5, I want to say. It's because they have a fuck ton of health. But yeah. 3 APL. The guys I won the tournament with are 2 APL, the same movement, the same amount of armor that you have, a little over half your wounds, and I get 10 of them versus your 6. And I can only shoot and fight once with my guys, whereas you can shoot and fight twice. But yeah. Oh, if you're talking about the Bombardier character, the one that has like the backpack with all the grenades on it or something, as long as it's a 32 base, you could run it and just be like, this is my Bombardier. And it's fine. And that's the game. Like, they give you easy access to this stuff. Most people who play 40k have a team right now. It might not be all the units that you could possibly use, but like a Votann player would just have most likely a Salvager team on their roster. They just maybe don't get the Gatling gun. They maybe don't get the what else wouldn't they get? Oh, they wouldn't get the specific like Kinlink model, the one that looks like it has an iPad in its hand. But I only used one of the scanners, and the scanners come regular in like a Hearthkyn box. Oh, they wouldn't get the lugger or the jump pack. That's probably the big thing. Oh no, I think they do get a lugger. I think the lugger is just part of the regular stuff. Behold. The last of the Zenithal purples. So yeah, that is the entirety of the airbrush day for my Emperor's Children. I'm gonna need to break some stuff down. I'm probably gonna take my airbrush completely apart and get it into some bins with some cleaner in it. Try to get it washed out. And then tomorrow we will start the layer painting. We're going to have some blue-gray to do on all the leather components. We got to do the non-metallic gold on those components. The chartreuse into the orange for like the vials and the lines coming from the vials. We got work to do. And then when they're done, I might try to look for a game coming up in a week or two of just playing around with them so I can try to tinker with different lists. I still think there's something to it for Mercurial. I like the idea of reactive moves and re-rollable advance rolls on an army that loves to advance. There's something there, man, and I want it to be good. I know it's garbage to most people, but I kind of want to be one of those guys who goes to tournaments and then plays a team that not everyone plays, like a detachment, and then at least provides the meta people who chase lists and stats and stuff an oddity of how the hell did that guy win a tournament here. I want that moment. I'm going to go for it. That's my plan this year. Be the weirdo who wins with an off-brand army. Either way, I got work to do. I got some food to eat. I gotta close this window before my room freezes out. And I will see people tomorrow who are willing to come by and hang out and watch a weirdo paint stuff. We might do it a little later. We might do it a little earlier. I don't know. I don't know. Till then, later, everyone.